Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Welcome to
Celtic Ligers. This is Gareth Lyons, and that is James Moran.
Gareth.
Also Gareth Moran.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we were talking about how Dustin Diamond died, and I was talking about how when I was a teenager, I used to be very...
Yeah, this is definitely the weirdest of all the things you've outlined about yourself.
I don't know, is it?
That you didn't like Screech, but you liked Dustin Diamond.
I found the thing
For
very
what?
funny. Well, just like the variety of reasons. His life...
sex tape.
No, did you remember when he lost the rights to his own name, when he did DustinDiamond.com?
No.
Did you not hear that?
No, I haven't. All I've heard is that he was on Saved by the Bell, and then I watched the last. You seen the last bit of his sex tape?
What the hell are you talking? I was really hoping you wouldn't say any part of a sex tape. I thought you would say something else. I have not seen a sex tape. What is it like?
There's I don't know. I only saw it on some MTV show, and they show the last scene, and he just he's like, that was epic or whatever, and then he holds his two fingers off under his nose. He's like, and he just sniffs his fingers.
Why are you telling me this? Why are you telling everybody this? This is disgusting.
He's your hero.
He's not my hero. I find him. Here are some awful things, okay? Because it feels bad to say after he died, but he was like...
Nah, drag him.
Stop dragging him.
Now that he's dead, you're finally safe to drag him.
No, I mean, okay, whatever. So somebody set up a page called DustinDiamond.com, okay? And they just put a bunch of they have a MIDI tone type of song of Saved by the Bell, like do 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 do, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And
it's all right.
and it's just a picture of Dustin Diamond as Screech, and then they have.
Yeah.
I mean, look it up now. I'm sure it's still there, but you'd find it very funny, James.
Why?
It's just got that aesthetic. I think you'd find very funny.
Because he's dead.
Maybe I shouldn't even be talking about this, but this was in 2003 or something like that. When was it? I don't know when it was, but anyhow,
when did he die? Just yesterday. His body's not even cold. But you were saying.
Anyhow, I feel like I should stop right now.
Don't. You're too far out.
Okay, fuck it. I'm going to tell you the stuff I know about Dustin Diamond. Okay, so Dustin Diamond, somebody made this website, DustinDiamond.com. You can go onto it. I just went onto it there. I think that the MIDI version of Saved by the Bell is now gone, unfortunately.
Wouldn't it be funny, just before we go on, if you die and you're like, I want everyone to have a great time at my funeral. I want it to be a roast.
Yeah.
And then everyone's has to roast you, but they're all really upset.
Just crying.
And so your mom's there, and then your friend is going to be like, James is so gay, and your mom just starts crying. Why did he do this to her?
Yeah. I thought you were going to be like, I want my funeral to be a big party, and it's like, don't worry, it will be.
No, I wouldn't have set you up for that.
Yeah. So it's DustinDiamond.com.
Yours will be.
And written at the top is, hello, welcome to my homepage, and welcome to DustinDiamond.com, my homepage on the internet. I'm famous actor
redundant.
Dustin Diamond. You have probably seen me on TV. You may have seen me in hit TV shows. It's just really goofy, okay?
Yeah.
And anyways, he went to court to try and reclaim. He's like, oh, that's my website domain. It's got my name in it. And the court ruled in the favor of the guy who already had the domain site, so that's why it's still up there. But the other thing that Dustin Diamond did was he tried to do, his house was being foreclosed upon, basically.
Yeah.
And he did a thing called, Save Screech's House, where he sold T-shirts to try and be
Save Screech by the Bell.
Save Screech by the Bell's house. And and then it turned out, I think that it turned out that the house was already foreclosed upon, and a lot of the people who donated never found out where their money went, and there was a whole
it wasn't even his
thing
house.
over it. And then there's a famous thing where I'll end on the funniest one, but I'll before that, the second. He's written 2 tell-all books about how the people in Saved by the Bell were all shit, and he.
That's so funny. They were 16. Do you
Yeah,
what
I
mean?
know, exactly.
Those children I worked with were really mean.
Yeah. But the other thing that happened was he had a storage locker, a storage facility out in like Pasadena or somewhere where he was keeping a load of stuff, and then he didn't keep up the fees on the storage locker. Okay.
Yeah.
So his stuff ended up getting auctioned off. So some guy bought like all of his family photo albums and put them up online on a blog called like Dustin Diamond's Cherished Family Memories or something like
That's
that.
so funny.
And it's like him opening up presents when he's like fucking 4 or 5 and stuff.
Really?
It's so bleak as well, because there's some other dark shit in there. But the guy's offered his own commentary as like talking about how his dad looks like Andy from Little Britain, you know, the Lou and Andy sketches. And
But it was just his dad was in a wheelchair.
yeah.
It's like, he looks like Andy.
I can't remember, but it's really bleak. But the other thing that my favorite thing that he did was we were obsessed with his appearance on Celebrity Fit Club, because he was just such an asshole on Celebrity Fit Club.
I've never even heard of it. What is it?
It's like a reality TV show from the mid-2000s, I believe, where like a celebrity will go on and have set like a weight goal, and they'll try and meet that goal. And
Okay.
So anyways, he was just like, I think he failed to meet like his targets quite often. And then the clip's online, but it's basically him in front of a panel of judges, and he is talking about challenging one of the people who are in the house with him to physical combat, okay? And he said, I will beat you in physical combat. And the judge is like, just calm down, just shut the fuck up, you know, like, you know, stop being so. And he's like, I'll beat you in physical combat. And this guy loses his shit at Dustin Diamond.
You're 3 pounds. Get the out of here, man. Everyone else has been up. I don't have to go anywhere. Somebody get his ass out of here. You are full of Dustin. I you'll tell me I will beat your. You must be out of your part-time cartoon mind.
If you agree, we can set up a UFC match anytime.
Threaten me. Don't you ever threaten me in ways of toxic space. Help your fat ass.
You put yourself in a protected spot.
First after you said you kick his ass, you say you kick mine. What the don't you ever think?
Did I say I kicked your ass?
You did. You stood
You
right
take
there.
back what I said?
You don't want to
Is that what I said?
Because I'll wear your ass out.
That's a threat.
And think nothing of you damn right.
And he's like, they're trying to hold him back, and he's on the table. Like, motherfucker, say you're gonna beat my ass! And he's just screaming at him, you know. And everybody's like, whoa, like what is happening? And so Dustin Diamond is kind of, you know, his ego won't let him step down from the podium. Okay, so everybody's trying to be like, please leave the stage, because this guy, I don't know much longer we could hold this guy back.
Yeah.
And he's
that's
like,
crazy.
I'll beat you in physical combat. He's just standing there and taunting this guy who is like the angriest I've ever seen a human being. He's just so furious.
That's so funny.
Oh, it was so good. I mean, like, but I mean, towards the end of his like, it was really tragic because they just did a reboot of Saved by the Bell, and they managed to get like the whole cast to come back, and it was written by some of the people from 30 Rock, and it's supposed to be quite good. And they were wondering, why couldn't you get like Dustin Diamond back? And he was like, the money. Like his agent will always look for more money.
Yeah, he's dead.
Well, that's what happened. They're like, he'll come. You know, don't worry. Once the show gets popular, he'll be like, yes, I'm coming back. And it was like, it would have been a kind of nice reprieve, because like he has had like just a very difficult career, or a career where he's known for being quite a difficult individual. And then when he went into hospital, it was like, fuck, I just felt kind of like anxious for him. And he they were like going in and like just kind of seeing what was happening and hoping like it wasn't serious. And he was kind of saying like, I don't want to fucking go into hospital and not come out. That's why he put it off for so long. And they eventually were kind of like, you have to go in because like this is serious. And he didn't come out. It was awful. It's tragedy. Like, I do feel really bad. It's just like, but he's just one of those like characters which is just like, how can you not like be captivated by that, the life of the grifter, basically? Do you know? It's like, I don't wish him dead. I just find it like I just found him, I don't know, I just thought like
maybe this
so
is the
sad.
ultimate grift.
That's no, yeah, he's good.
You don't know that. Maybe he's still alive. They're laughing away.
Yeah. I just felt I don't know, I did feel sad. I felt sad because like he did entertain me quite a lot as a kid, not for Saved by the Bell, but like for all of his hijinks besides.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine feeling that way about any celebrity. You know?
Do you know the worst part? I feel
Except Michael Jackson.
I did think with Michael Jackson and David Bowie, like when David Bowie went, I was like, oh man, that's bleak, that's no good, and I was very sad. But anytime you say that now, people are like, do you remember when he had sex with a child?
Yeah.
And
I was like, yippee. Another one dead. Another one gone, finally. Yippee. You know?
Oh.
I was like, I'm laughing.
Yeah. I'm always very conflicted. I'm not because I like, you know, I mean I don't know. I guess it's because the age he was and the time that he was coming up, it's not like pedophilia was like ever acceptable then, but it was like, you know, Kayla was like reading this book about a woman who considered herself like a professional groupie, and one of the things in it was talking about like this 11-year-old who was just hanging out with all these people in the band, and it was like, and he was so sexy, this 11-year-old, and I felt so threatened by him, but also I kissed him and all this, and it's like there's just a time back then of like all these people who were like doing like, yeah, this is it, we're breaking down boundaries, we're breaking down taboos, and this is like, and it's like the people who continued to do that after the point where everybody was just like, actually no, don't do that.
No,
those
the
are
people
like,
who also did it at the time,
Yeah.
like the people who
Yeah.
fucked the 14-year-old girl or the
Yeah.
kissed the 11-year-old boy, like,
I guess I just have like, you know, I'm not, it's not a sympathy, but it's this thing where it's like, it almost feels like there was like this context where it's like, I could imagine a scenario where that happened and you just feel like pressured into doing something and you go like, what the fuck was that? And I don't know.
yeah, but that woman wrote a book where she was like, Eddie was so hot.
No, fuck that
Yeah.
woman. Fuck that. I hate that woman. I'm not saying, I'm not defending her. I'm saying that it's you know, showing a certain era where you suddenly go like, oh, that's what this was kind of like, and in this place and this time, and it may be when you're famous to a certain
Yeah, but
degree,
they-
you can get swept up in that. But I mean, I know it's not an excuse.
Yeah, they
it's
still
just,
do it. Like
yeah,
Seinfeld did it,
yeah, Seinfeld did it.
and then like R. Kelly did it.
Yeah, and even like that's what Kevin Spacey did as well. Like the exact same thing, where it's like all these
Yeah.
kids are in this area. It's like, yeah, no, I guess you're right. I'm sorry. It's one of those things where it's like I just really want David Bowie to not be a pedophile. You know?
Yeah, no, he's a
Allegedly.
pedo.
I don't know if like I've seen it, read enough, but written and
See,
done
I've
enough.
gotten over the Michael Jackson stuff, you know.
I haven't watched
So
the
I can-
documentary.
I can just-
Do you like?
You don't need to.
Do you like
He's
the Michael
obviously just a
Jackson?
pedo. Yeah.
Like, do you like his music?
No. I just like him as a person. No, I like his music.
There's like 2 songs that he has where I was like, yeah, those are good, but then after that, I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, whatever.
Doesn't matter if you're black or white.
Perfect song. What's the one? One Last Chance. Perfect song. No, I don't know. No, the one I like Billie Jean.
Billie Jean.
Billie
Yeah, that's a
Jean's
good one.
good. And then the other one that was good was Ben, and stuff. The
Billie
stuff he
Bean.
did in Jackson 5. I mean, you know. Oh fuck. Anyway, after
Fashion-
all
yeah.
this defending
Fashion
pedophiles,
icon. You know, I go around wearing one glove and white socks and
yeah.
bleach my skin.
Mm-hmm. Any other?
You know.
Anything else? Any other news? Did you watch any of that thing I sent you? The 2.5 hour compilation of.
No,
I actually watched an hour of it. Would you believe?
I don't even really understand what you sent me.
It was a thing I found online. It was like 2.5 hour of
2.5 Men.
2.5. No, not that. Basically, what you said, not that.
Yeah, 2.5 hours of. Oh yeah, it was like, why The Simpsons is homophobic.
Well, it
What
was
is
like
Simpsons
all
is
of the LGBT jokes made in The Simpsons, like, and they were like, no matter how, they really went in depth in it, because they would even do like gay coded characters, you know.
Do you remember there was that one, and it's like, can't remember where they are, but it's like the electric car,
Yeah, exactly.
and
Yeah,
it's like, I don't go very fast or very far,
Yeah.
and if you drive me, people think you're gay.
Yeah.
And then it's the robots going, "One of us." One
Yeah,
of us.
I like.
Ooh, yeah.
It was funny to see how actually the show got more homophobic past the 10th season. I thought I'd go like season 1 to 9, and I'd be looking at it and I'd be going like, "Oh, that's a bit touchy now." And I don't think you don't think you can do that. It was actually surprisingly like not that bad. And then
No.
once you got to 10 and above, it was like, "Oh, this is getting like really fucking stereotype kind of weird stuff." But like
Like, wow.
I
I remember the one when Homer thinks Bart is gay.
yeah, that was actually season
Very-
9, I believe. But
Very tasteful. You know?
it wasn't. No, I mean obviously not that, but like
It wasn't. Do you remember the bit at the end where he's like, "Oh, we were saved by a sissy."
Yeah.
He's like, "This man's not a sissy. He's a fruit."
yeah. I mean that's kind of the redeeming part of that
And I was
episode.
like, wow, is that what they want to be called? I never knew that.
yeah.
I thought they wanted to be called gay, but they're actually called fruit.
Well, I think it's like I said, I think it's the redeeming part of that episode that you have a character who's kind of beloved, who espouses an opinion that is like meant to be like looked down upon, and he's actually bad for having. Some of it is obviously rough, but I think like it's at least saying something. Whereas the stuff in like you know, the later seasons where like all the gay guys are like buff, effeminate. I mean, I'm just
like they go
yeah.
to the Pride March.
Yeah, exactly.
And I
Spoiled
was
sport and all this type of stuff.
Everyone,
yeah.
And everyone has a six pack and I have a keg, and then the guy comes over and he's like, "Conceal." And
Yeah,
then he puts
yeah.
in one of the early seasons, Homer gets a male secretary.
Yeah, yeah.
It's actually misandry, you know.
Mm.
And I will not be explaining any further.
I was watching that again. I forgot like Harvey Firestein's voice in that character is so funny. I think he sounds so good in that.
His name was Carl.
Yeah, and then he's like, you know, he's like, "You're not a fool," and then it's like, "Why? No, I'm a big fat fool." It's like,
yeah.
"Cause my, you know, how do you know that or whatever?" He's like, "So my mother told me never to kiss a fool," and then he kisses him. Carl. I really love that, man. I thought that was really.
Yeah. I didn't get that he was gay.
Yeah, no, I
When
didn't
I was
get that he
there.
was gay at all. But now you go
As a
back
what?
and you're like, "Oh, right, yeah, of course."
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
The signs were there all along.
Yeah.
He's one character they never brought back.
No, but they did show. This is how in depth this video got. They showed a breakdown in the, you know, the Do the Bartman music video.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a bit where Jacques, who you might remember as Marge's bowling instructor. I think that's
Oh
his
yeah,
name,
that
isn't
guy
it?
ruled.
Yeah, and he's dancing with the woman, and the woman keeps changing. Okay.
Yeah.
And eventually, one of the woman changes into Carl, and he's dancing with Carl, and then makes a face, and then they cut away.
Really.
Yeah, and that's apparently the only other time you see Carl, unless he came back in later seasons. I highly doubt that.
Yeah. I mean, they brought back Frank Grimes'
Oh
son.
my fucking days! What a terrible.
Yeah.
That was so shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I wanted to bring it up because some of them were like really a stretch. I sent you some of them, you know. But there was one that I found in particular. Like anytime like a character was like wearing women's clothes, then it was seen as like, oh yeah, this is gay. Do you know?
Yeah, it's like Marge sounds like a man.
Yeah, or something like. Well, actually, there's one bit in it where, like, you remember, there's like a gag where, Bart is in love with
Milhouse.
Reverend Lovejoy's daughter,
Yeah.
and then he goes to church and he thinks he hears her singing, and then he comes in and it's Flanders. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. They were like, "Oh no, that's a gay joke." I was like, "That's not a gay joke."
No. Do you remember the one where, but I heard a woman scream?
Yeah, exactly. That was funny too.
Yeah.
Well, how come that didn't make it in? Because that wasn't in the mix, but apparently him singing. But then it's because Bart says afterwards, that's incredibly disturbing. And it's meant to be like, kind of, I guess, at his trans expense, but it's not really.
No, it's not.
I mean, I just don't think
that's
it
not
is.
a trans joke.
I mean, I don't know.
It is freaky that he sings like that.
Exactly. I think it's very creepy. You're just like, okay, that's a very disturbing voice for that guy to have.
It's particularly that he switches into that mode of
Yeah.
voice. He doesn't always sound like that. It's just when he sings like a little girl.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And there's another bit where you remember when Homer makes a balloon animal for Ralph when he's Krusty the Clown, and there's a bit where he goes, "Here you go, little girl," and he goes, "I'm a boy." That's the spirit. Never give up, you know. And they were like, "That's an LGBT reference," and I was like, "No, it's not. That's not a joke at all."
No, that's just Homer being Homer. That's just dudes being dudes.
Do you remember that?
You know?
I sent you that where like somebody goes, Homer owns Milhouse's dad.
Yeah.
And it's like that bit where it's like, I sleep in a racing car. And it's like, where do you sleep? And it's like, I sleep in a big bed with my wife. And this guy's like, whoa, he just owned him. He just fucking destroyed.
With his own. Yeah, Homer owns Milhouse's dad with his own logic.
Destroyed him.
Yeah, I'm thinking of getting into owning people with their own logic.
Yeah.
So be on your guard throughout this episode.
I am actually very nervous all of a sudden now that you've said that.
Yeah.
Because of all the fallacies that I say and contradictions on a regular basis.
Yeah. All the, when you're like, men should be men. And I'll be like, according to your logic, men should be men. And men should be women, you know?
That's a great example, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't really understand what you were getting at, and then you did that, and now I do. So
yeah. When you're like, men should wear pants, and I'm like, no, they shouldn't. They should wear dresses.
Owned by my own logic.
Yeah. Or you'll make a claim, and I'll go, no, it isn't. It's like owned. Gareth, owned by James.
Yep. So what's happened in the news this week? What's the standout thing that has happened in Irish politics this week for you?
Gamergate.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That stupid, unethical video game reviewer.
Yeah, that was a good.
You heard about Gamergate? It's like, hey, it's fine to go out with a critic, but don't sleep with him to get a good review. Come on. That's not
Don't
right.
sleep with guys that aren't me. Come on. That's all I ask.
Yeah. I'll review your game.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm looking down through the headlines that I've accumulated here.
I know, let me give one.
All right.
Okay? I thought, Stephen Donnelly giving a thumbs up.
Him trying to claim that is one thing. I think that was like, was that was this week, was it?
I don't know.
Did we talk about this? Oh yeah, no, I think we did talk about this before. Where we were talking about obviously for just to refresh, back in October, and this is the other thing that kind of gets overlooked. People are like, look, it's just a thumbs up. It's like, no, this was a thumbs up when they were deciding about whether to open up for Christmas, and he was going, that the R rate is like kind of creeping up a bit, and he's like, thumbs up. It's like he did that to the chief medical officer.
Yeah. Apparently their offices are very close. I was thoroughly won over by his explanation, if I'm honest.
What was his explanation again?
He was like, we meet like 10 times a day and our offices are right next to each other.
Okay.
So he could have got the text and then gone, over. Been like, hey, thanks for the heads up, Thanks for the big old egg head up. And then he just points at his own head. And it's like,
yeah.
And then Tony Houlihan's like, that head's worse than the coronavirus.
And I'm a doctor.
Yeah. And I'm CMO.
Yeah. I guess I'm stuck because I also really hate Stephen Donnelly. And the other thing is I hate that the PR people are already trying to spin it as in like, I'm in on the joke as well. Thumbs up, me on this show. And you're just like, shut the fuck up, dumbass. Yeah. We hate you.
Put that thumb down, yeah. We're laughing at you, not with you.
I thought you were going to stick that fucking thumb. That's what I would have said to him.
In
your eye.
Yeah. It's like something a granny would say.
Yeah. Stick that thumb in your eye and swivel.
Then
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe that excuse checks out. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it also, the other thing can also be true, whereby he's just a callous individual who doesn't give a fuck.
well, he is also that.
Yeah.
Like, he has plenty of other reasons why we think he's callous.
Yeah.
You know? At least for all his head. You know? It's a callus.
Looks like a giant callus.
Yeah, from scratching.
Yeah. Or like, you know, I get completely callusless, actually, his head. That's the one thing that's without callousness.
So smooth.
Yeah. Disgustingly so.
What else did you get up to this week? I feel like there's a few things you got up to.
Well, the other,
What was that
well,
last
speaking of the chief medical officer, I mean, I was just going to bring up how
Go on.
he's refusing to apologize for the cervical check scandal. Not that I ever expect anybody to do that, but like, he is also like,
Wait, who is it?
well, people were asking Tony Houlihan, do you want to apologize to this cervical check? People who,
Oh,
like, you
yeah.
promised wouldn't have to go through the courts again, and now this woman is like dying, and she still has to go through the courts.
Yeah.
And
That was so reprehensible. And then
I
they
know,
like
yeah.
settled before the hell. Oh, what was her name?
I have it here.
Google her name there.
Yeah, that's, speaking of callous.
Yeah. Google.
Don't make fun of my laugh, because that's not going to end well for either of us. Okay.
My laugh is charming.
Mm-hmm.
Your laugh is raucous. You know?
Where the fuck? How come I didn't put this in my notes? I thought I had this
Yeah.
in my notes.
So did I.
This is insane.
And then it just turns out you dropped the ball once again. Hey fellas, little help? Sorry, we dropped the ball. We need you to pay. Google, we need you to pass the ball back.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fuck this.
Now it's time for business.
Do you know what I don't like? When people say cervical. I don't like that at all.
Who says that?
I heard it on a podcast there where they were talking about the scandal, and I was like, I cannot pay attention to the content
yeah, no,
of
that's
this.
just somebody who can't read.
Yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
was like, you're a fucking doctor, and you're saying cervical. Do you know?
Like when people say controversy.
Yeah. Or well, no, that's not so bad. I mean, that's the next
What's the
thing. I
other
was
one?
going to say safety. That one bugs me, but actually, that's not really anybody's fault. That's an accent.
Yeah, it's an accident. What's her name?
Don't put this on me, man. Do not put this on me. Okay, so here it is, Lindsay Bennett. Sorry about that.
I don't think that is her name. Are you sure?
Yeah, that's what it says.
This
This is the headline in the journal.ie. It should not have happened, Houlihan says. Basic commitment to cervical check women wasn't honoured. Lindsay Bennett, who has 2 young daughters, had 4 smear tests between 2010 and 2016,
Yeah.
but each time they were told they were negative.
Yeah, I said yes. I said
4
yeah
times.
already.
I mean, Jesus, that's insane.
Yeah, so she went in for one, they were like, come back in 3 years. She went in for another, they were like, something's wrong. Come back in 6 months. And then the next 2 times they were like, yeah, it's all fine, see ya. And then she comes in, she has like very developed
Oh
cancer.
my fucking God.
Yeah, and then you read the like HSEs, like, so there was a settlement, and I don't know how much she got. And yeah, the whole thing was like, these women aren't going to have to go to court to hunt this money down.
Yeah.
And then, of course, and then the HSE like apologized, but the apology was like so couched. It was
Yeah.
like, hey, sorry for what happened to you,
Mm-hmm.
and we feel really bad, but not because we did anything, just because.
Yeah.
It was like Gareth feels bad about Screech. We feel bad about you. You know?
Yeah, and the other thing was, remember
desperate-
like Leo's response afterwards. Do you know, like Leo would just be kind of.
When was this?
Well,
When
sorry, no,
this?
maybe this was last year. Remember, somebody died as a result of the negligence from that, and then they were
Oh,
like,
yeah.
the state kind of fucked up, and then he's like, well, you know, sorry, not sorry, but whatever, you know, like, look, fucking, that's why pencils have racers on them, you know, fucking just
Did he
get
say
over
that?
it. No, he didn't say that, but it was his attitude. It's this flippancy of just kind of like nobody could have foreseen this, and it's kind of misleading of the opposition to say such and such and da-da-da.
I think he was like, the state already apologized.
Yeah. And now it's like, now there's somebody else being dragged through the courts, and it's like, and Tony Houlihan's getting a grilling, and rightfully so, because it was him who recommended that they not investigate this cervical check thing,
Yeah.
And I just, it's not sufficient. It's disgusting and despicable, and
But
it's
one
like,
of those things where like there's more evidence of how misogynist the state is. you know?
But not to mention, it's also the part where like how the cruelty of it is also immense, because it's literally like, we're trying to count down the clock on this because we have a window here where we might not have to pay anything. We might just get away with this half-hearted apology, and that's obviously what they're doing. And everybody seems to be, well, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to tell at the moment because we're inside and we're looking at it through like, news outlets or Twitter or whatever, but it's very hard to get a read on how angry people are. But there's so many things that could make people angry, and you just feel like I
think as well, it's like, so it's very bizarre. They have like all these women that like, are very visibly dying in front of everyone.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to wrap your head around that. Like,
I know.
These are women who are dying because of something the state failed to do, and they're like spending their last years trying to get justice. It's like, it's too weird to like obviously you get angry about it, but it's like almost too weird to fully grasp.
I know, yeah. I'm getting to a point where I just feel completely helpless. I mean, I know I felt helpless for a long time, but then you just, every fucking week another thing comes up, and it's like these people who just are like just going like, this is happening, okay?
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it. So just get comfortable, and there's nothing you can do,
That's the same drive that leads people to become adult babies. It's like a desire. It's like, the world is chaotic, I just want to go back to be an adult baby and have a caregiver.
Or fucking QAnon or something like that, like all these things where it's like,
well, the QAnon thing is like, they think that they've grasped, they're the only ones who understand.
But I mean, like, you retreat to a farcical explanation, because when you feel like you don't have any agency, then it's like, no, actually, I actually have the most agency,
Yeah, but the adult babies don't even seek an explanation. They're just like, I'm a giant ugly baby.
They might have like the right idea, to be honest, or the people who want to be like cats or something. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I would love to not be aware of how much everybody's fucking up my life, and
I saw an argument people were having on TikTok where it was like a trans person, and they were like, obviously I'm pro using people's pronouns, but I will not refer to people as kitty or kitty self. I was like, what does that mean? And it turns out that there were these people being like, I'll call a trans woman she, so why can't they recognize that I'm actually a cat? And they want to be called kid, like their pronouns are kitty and kitty self.
Okay.
And like, these people are like in the comments arguing with people being like, can you, like, isn't it just polite to use people's pronouns? It's like, not like that, you freak,
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, with a cat, I would just use like, you were like, oh yeah, she's just being weird, he's being weird, or whatever. You wouldn't say like, oh, Kitty's being weird,
Yeah. That's Kitty Self's bowl.
Yeah. So it's like, it is kind of deliberately provocative, but then you kind of get to a point and it was like, fuck it, well, I don't know. I can't say. I can imagine as a trans person, it's incredibly insulting to have somebody who tries to claim your plight by going like, why don't I'm an attack helicopter. It's like the equivalent to that, except there's couched in some sort of legitimacy. Yeah.
That's it. It's like, I don't know. It's so weird. It's literally like if you went up to a black guy in blackface.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, our struggle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't worry, brother. And it's like, no, but people think I'm black too. That's the issue. It's just as hard.
Yeah. It's like we were talking about that Russell T Davies show where it was like, I'm a robot now. It's like, they're not the same. No.
Yeah. we got used to men being women, didn't we? So we
Yeah.
get used to all sorts of fucked up shit, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the weird shit that you people do. But like, go ahead. It makes life's a tapestry. It makes it more interesting,
Yeah.
seeing your life. So
I can't believe that guy's written a show about AIDS. Like,
yeah, you're like,
I know people are saying it's going to be good.
I think
and,
it
like,
is. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I could just imagine a scene where someone's like, someone's like dying because they have like a low white blood cell count or whatever, and then the like gay doctor comes in and is like, life can get you down, but sometimes you just have to pick yourself up.
Oh yeah.
And raise your own white cell count. And then he's like, "You're right, I do." And he like,
Yeah, like
goes off his medicine and like just starts working out every day.
I mean, the thing is, Russell T Davies started out on, or I believe one of his like first big shows was Queer as Folk, which was about like, I believe, gay people in like Cardiff, where he kind of grew up, and then the gay scene, and then he
gay scene kids.
Yeah, and then he did Doctor Who, Wizards vs. Aliens, Torchwood, and then he made that weird show about the future where, like, the trans robot. And now he's gone back to this, so people are like, what the fuck? There's going to be weird shit. And it's like, not necessarily. Like, he does have an experience and a track record of doing something like this, but it is going to be trashy and melodramatic for sure. But I don't think it's going to be... I think there'll be something to the experience that people can dismiss if,
It'll be like a robot doctor treating like a guy dying from AIDS.
Yeah.
And the guy with AIDS would be like, "You're not so different, you and I." And the robot will be homophobic.
Yeah.
And the whole point will be that, like, no matter how fucked up you are and crazy, you have your own mental prejudice,
Except he doesn't think that about gay people, so that won't be what's happening there.
Nah, he definitely does.
What? He's gay.
I know, but he's still really weird about it. Like,
I don't think it's that weird.
Didn't he write the character in Doctor Who? Like,
oh yeah, Captain Jack.
And it's like, is he gay or straight? And it's like, he's just, fucks everything.
Well, they said it was like, it was funny because he was actually introduced in a Stephen Moffat episode, which is hilarious. But like, the character has really made his own in Russell T Davies stuff. But
that's it.
But the point is, like, they were like, she was like, what kind of orientation is he? And he's like, oh, we're talking about somebody who's from like hundreds of years in your future, where where Earthlings went out and colonized the fucking galaxy. He's just anything. He's not that bothered.
Yeah, but like, what does that imply? That being gay is a choice? You know what I mean?
No, there's plenty of gay characters. But he's not gay. He's like,
No, in Doctor Who, I don't think there is.
Oh, in Doctor Who, no, there is. There are gay characters. I mean,
Like who?
Well, Bill, who is
Bill?
Bill was the Doctor's companion in the Moffat era. She was gay, and then there's Alonzo, who was introduced.
Bill? Who was Bill?
Bill. She's his companion. I can't remember her last name.
Which Doctor?
Capaldi.
Oh, right. I don't know anything about that.
I want to see what her last... Bill Potts.
I'm just saying, like, this guy has been like, in the future, there's no such thing as gay guys because it's like mad.
Right,
yeah. It's like, people aren't gay because they're liberal,
Right, yeah. Yeah, that was one of the funnier things when it like in Star Trek, in the original series, there was like George Takei played Sulu, and then they made they came back and they did the Kelvin timeline, which was the films, and they where they just did, like, it was almost like they rebooted Star Trek and they kind of set it off on a slightly different path, and there were the J.J. Abrams films. But then Sulu, one of the things is that I believe, I can't remember the actor who plays him, but he was a different Asian nationality to George Takei, because George Takei was Japanese, and then I can't remember what the other guy was. I think he was... I'm not good. Yeah, no, he's Korean. Yeah. And they were kind of like, well, I'm going to confirm that because I don't know.
Confirm? Do you confirm or deny?
Okay, Sulu, Abrams, Hikara Sulu, John Cho, and John Cho is Jesus Christ, Asian American, no, born in South Korea, so he's South Korean. So you're correct, he's Korean. So he, so they were kind of talking about, oh, is that a bit sus that we like changed his nationality like that? And it was like, yeah, Asian, who gives a shit, you know? And George Takei was apparently okay with that, even though he did mention, he's like, you know, I am Japanese. But then one of the things he was pissed off about was in Star Trek Beyond, Sulu arrives at a station and he's greeted by his partner, who's a man, and they have a kid together. And George Takei was like, no, he's not gay. He's like, this is a character I developed with Gene Roddenberry. He is a heterosexual man and he has a daughter, and you know, there's a whole baggage and history there, and it's like, just stop arbitrarily assigning sexual orientations depending on, like, you know, whatever. And he was just annoyed by that, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, it's offered in contrast to Russell T Davies, who was like, actually, the further we get into the future, everybody's going to be gay, and gay is basically just loving everything and just being happy-go-lucky, camp weird, you know.
Gay becomes straight in the future.
Yeah.
Isn't George Takei a freak? Isn't he like?
He's super liberal. He was kind of like this Twitter personality who everybody was like, oh, you know, he's a little bit of fun, and now he's just like one of those Democrats who kind of had their brain broken by Trump winning in 2016, and so he just like, but also like, you know, terrible. Like, his life was incredibly challenging. Imagine as a Japanese American actor,
you know.
Yeah, well, he was also in an internment camp, so I don't know.
Yeah, so was everyone.
Yeah, it's like everyone was in one of those. What are you talking about?
There's really people who were in that internment camp and, you know, didn't turn out to be weird liberal freaks, you know?
Here, do you know what? I've been in an internment camp, aka a hotel, okay?
AKA...
So Leo Varadkar has given me permission, anytime I've been in a hotel, that was basically being in an internment camp or a detention center of some description.
Unless it was direct provision.
Then it's like being in a hotel. Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Did we talk about this already?
We did, but one thing I wanted to bring up is some of the language he's been using over the past few days, which has really like fucking triggered me. Obviously, he's doing his usual thing of
got triggered.
Owned by my own logic yet again. You know,
you
told me to watch out, and I didn't expect it. But like he. You know, he's loving life. He is just fucking prodding all of this shit, creating mass confusion. You know, by contradicting Stephen Donnelly.
My theory is that he and Simon Harris are doing good cop, bad cop.
Interesting.
You know? Simon Harris is like, no, don't kill yourself. You know, I love you. If you're in trouble, don't ring me. You know.
I think your analogies are always like, because I'm like, they're doing good cop, bad cop. Okay, cool. I'm getting ready for this. Okay, no, don't kill yourself. And you're like, I didn't. What are you talking about?
That's the good cop.
That's when the good cop comes in and is like, okay.
No, that's the good cop is saying, don't kill yourself.
Okay, all right, go on. Yeah.
You know the way he's always posting stuff online where he's like, hey, I'm just checking in with everybody. If you feel bad. And then Leo Varadkar's like, hey, if you give out too much, kill yourself. I don't give a shit. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there is also that thing where it's like, you know, Simon Harris like, look, with some determination and gumption, we'll make it through. And then Leo's like, don't like those stats, but anyway. And it's just a shit like this where it's like, you know, you're just going between these two people. And they were, you know, along with Tony Houlihan, associated with kind of shepherding people through the pandemic. Yeah, and no matter what they do, they haven't been able to lose that sparkle.
I know, no matter how terrible they've acted. Since.
I know, yeah. It's like
because they had like the 3 months or 4 months of just like complete media control.
Yeah,
you know, it was like Varadkar, Harris, and Houlihan just running the show, and then.
Well, here's what you see as well is you know, go on. Sorry.
And then once the new government came in, what you call it when two parties get married?
Coalition.
The coalition, they just lost the media control, and then since then it's been like, It's like after you get married and you wake up with your wife for the first time and you see her without makeup.
Well, these people fucking suck. The media basically are like, oh no, we much preferred it when we had this kind of like little fucking drip of water like Simon Harris, and then our,
What do you mean a tall drink of water?
No, I mean a drip of water, a disgusting damp cloth of a man. But like, these people who, but he loves to do his social media bullshit, and they're all aping the kind of like, where they remember when he did that thing and he was like, it was like a quiz to see what party you're in, and he's like, turns out I'm in People Before Profit, who'd have thought? And it's like, no, then you lied, because there's no fucking way, like,
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, no, this was like years ago that he did this apparently, like, and there's just stuff like this where it's like he has kind of put himself at the forefront of a lot of progressive causes, but then ultimately he's still a fucking Fine Gaeler, but he has the Democrat, like, it's like American Democrat bullshit. And that's what the media love about the West Wing politicians that they have.
He turns up at the very last minute.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember the repeal? He basically turned
the same
up.
with Radker. Yeah.
But with Simon Harris, he turns up like when there's a pop-up shop to sell repeal.
Yeah,
jumpers,
exactly.
And then he's just like, this is easy.
Yeah.
I'll just buy a jumper.
But my thing is that they like truly resent Micheál Martin for being so old-fashioned Fianna Fáil and having a cabinet of like Fianna Fáilers that they fucking hate. So they still divert all of their media focus on Leo and Simon Harris. Well, not really. Well, no, I suppose, yeah, because Simon Harris was talking about stuff to do with the fucking pandemic that was completely outside of his remit. And now there's people who are like the reply guide defenders for Biden. They just appear and they go, "Come on, he's doing his best." Oh, I think you think you can do a better job, do you?
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's so like, but the thing that Vradker, it's like, we were surprised last week that it took him so long to like weaponize his own identity, because he had like little kind of flirtations with it, but now he's really going whole hog with like the Mary McAleese interview and stuff. But the thing that he said that really got me was then he put out 2 tweets going, "This is not who we are." And it's like, we're just weeks out of that Capitol Hill riot where that was all Democrats were saying. Do you know what I mean? This thing, that's such an American thing. This isn't who we are. It's like, what the fuck does that mean?
Well,
who
was
are
he
we?
saying it? What was he saying it in regards?
Hold on. Oh yeah, he in against mandatory quarantine by saying, says he'd hate one of the long-term consequences of the pandemic to be an ongoing restriction on our freedoms because it's not who we are. And you're like, motherfucker, the man who has presided over more of restrictions on people's freedoms than most people, the one. And he also came out and he said like, oh, we'll have to get the pandemic unemployment payment, we'll have to extend that, we'll have to do this. And it's all of a sudden it's like, what happened to you just penny pinching ages ago? It's like now you're all gung-ho on this, because I honest to God, like, he just pays attention so much to US and Canadian type of politics. Like, he loved Trudeau, he was modeling himself off of that, but now he's looking at like Ossoff and those guys in Georgia, and it's like, oh, they won by promising like 2K, so now it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to be this person who says, they don't understand what it's like for small businesses and all this type of stuff. It's so confused, but you can see the language that he's borrowing to try and like, manipulate people into thinking that his incredibly restrictive conservative politics are somehow that kind of Biden, gentle neoliberalism that. But like,
that's
people,
what all these like young men of the world, like. He's sort of had Trudeau, Macron, and him.
Yeah, exactly.
And they all try to give off this vibe that they were like really liberal and sort of like modern.
Yeah.
And then they're actually just like a throwback. Or not even a throwback. They're just Thatcherites.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There was I heard a quote from Margaret Thatcher recently where they asked her what was her greatest achievement in life. And she said Tony Blair. So really? Like, yeah, it was like the acknowledgement is like you turn your enemy into you, and then you've won. So,
and like what I hate the most about Fine Gael is that like they're just so dishonest about it.
Yeah,
like, and I don't really understand it, because like if Fine Gael came out and they were like, we just want to get out of the way. We believe that everything has a market solution, like the homeless crisis. Governments just get out of the way and private companies will supply housing. There's a lot of people who would agree with that.
Oh yeah.
But for some reason, they keep lying, and they're just like, yeah, we'll supply housing, and then it's like, through weird, like, and then they'll say, we'll supply housing, and then they'll say, like, it's not right for one person to pay for another's housing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll be like, okay, so to do this, we're going to, like, have these people, what do they call them? Private partnership agreements, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be like, we're going to pay a private company more money
Yeah.
than it will cost to build the houses, or at least equal.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, we won't own the houses.
Yeah.
You know, like, they seem to spend more and get less. So
Yeah.
it's like, they're neither adopting a social housing solution or
Yeah.
a market-based solution. And they're being completely dishonest both ways,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, this
I
is
know
it,
when-
and it's the whole thing of just adding to the confusion, which is particularly dangerous in like a pandemic. But it's like, you know, I think they're fucking succeeding somehow. They're managing to kind of like make people think that better things aren't possible, and that the only thing is like, but don't you want somebody who, like, you know, it feels young and fresh and is like a new voice, do you know what I mean, or something like that. Like, they've managed to make Micheál Martin, like, lump him with the bill for COVID, where it's like everybody's looking at him going, how have you fucked this up so much?
Yeah.
Even though all of it is the direct result of stuff that Radker and Simon Harris have done, and also that they would have done if they had been in power as well, like if that had continued.
But it's also like the legacy of,
Yeah.
of Fine Gael government since, 2011.
Because that's one of the things where they're talking about zero COVID. Sorry to keep cutting over you. I'll shut up now in a sec. But one of the complaints is so this is also why I'm kind of like, you know, Tony Holohan, it seemed like, oh, he gave a shit about human life because he came back and said we need more restrictions, and I was like, great. So you support zero COVID though, don't you? Oh no, we can't do zero COVID because, you know, the border or whatever, and so it's not even worth investigating or anything like that. And also, we can never get zero COVID fully, even though I recognize that actually it's just a pursuit of zero COVID. But also, we couldn't get zero cases. Like, okay, but the one thing that they said was, we also can't do it because of the state that our health service is in, because it's not responsive. And it's like, what the fuck does that mean? it's like, oh no, we can't do it because everything is shit, so we can't try anything because it might crush. It just makes no sense. It kind of boggles the mind. It's like, this whole thing of dealing with the legacy of all of this stuff and now using it as an excuse. And it's also, everybody knows, it's like, oh, you all know that this system is completely fucked and doesn't work, so that's why we can't do anything. It's like, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, that is how it feels.
And that's what happens now when you see like the turnaround, which is like the personal responsibility thing is taking kind of a foothold, you know, like one of our patrons was tweeting out they were listening to Joe Duffy and people were messaging in I don't know if they want me to say.
You have to, otherwise you're stealing their tweet.
Well, it was an observation that they had about, like, I think, because I've asked them before about whether they want to be mentioned, and they were like, no, thank you. But they were tweeting out about listening to Joe Duffy and everybody complaining about, like, all these people they're seeing without masks and all this, you know, irresponsibility from people, which is dragging us into this lockdown. And then there was fucking Luke O'Neill, who actually recently appeared on Stephanie Preisner's podcast, The Immunologist, okay? And he showed this graph, and it was like, wow, look at this. We had this incredible... Ireland has turned this around faster than any other nation on the planet. And they show like the spike in the graph and then the decline again. And it's like, yeah, how do we get that spike? There's no investigation of this, you know? It's this thing where it's like, look, it's happened. You can't do anything about it. But you know, the thing you can do is you can lecture people and give out to them for not wearing a mask or for not doing this. And it's like obviously wear a mask. But I'm saying that this just exacerbates this whole thing about like people getting fatigued and this whole thing being down to like personal freedoms. And then you turn it into a culture war where it's the people who want to wear masks and then the people who don't want to wear masks, rather than the people who are directly responsible for making sure that, like, you know, people aren't paid to be home. The test and trace thing that didn't fucking work, you know, the vaccination rollout, which is really fucking up, you know. Yeah,
they've really I know some bits of it are outside of their control, but they really seem to be fucking up there.
Yeah,
like it's wild that like the EU, what is it? They bought a certain amount of vaccines off AstraZeneca.
Yeah.
And then AstraZeneca were like, actually, sorry, we can't give these to you because they don't work on over 70s.
Oh Jesus!
And then it was like, no, we still want them because we don't believe you. And they were like, well, you still can't have them. And it's just like, AstraZeneca just bailed. Like,
Yeah.
that's why we're not getting enough vaccines, because AstraZeneca just sold them to someone else for more money.
And there was a thing that we forgot to mention last week because I didn't really know anything about it, but like, because I was, guilty stuff when it comes to the North and anything to do with like Brexit or anything like that. I just tune it out, and so the whole thing about invoking Article 16, I was like, yeah, whatever, that'll probably happen. That sounds like some EU bullshit. And then the more I investigated it, because my dad was talking to me, he was like, "Oh, you seriously not paying attention to this?" And I was like, "Should I be?"
Yeah, because you actually cut out what I said about the North last week. Crazy.
Oh fuck! I forgot to upload that. No, but we weren't saying it. We were talking about that wasn't Article 16 though, was it?
It was all related. Like the DUP. My point last week was that the DUP consulted with this group, the LCC.
Yeah.
Which is a political front for the main three loyalist paramilitary groups.
Yeah.
The UVF, OHC, and the UDA.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that factors into this because like one of the reasons why the DUP are now so incensed by this whole Article 16 thing is because they're like regularly consulting with paramilitary.
Can I just say what I think this Article 16 is? Because I don't even know if I have it entirely correct, okay?
Yeah,
Article 16 is in whatever Brexit deal that they've made, which gave either the EU or the UK unilateral permission to like block exports or imports into Northern Ireland or something. Does that make sense? Because now there's like a bit of a grace period while they figure stuff out. And then for some reason they did it with these vaccines, and then everybody threw up a fuss, and then they immediately backtracked. But it was like a kind of flex by the EU to be kind of like, don't be doing any funny business. And also the EU, like at this moment in time, between Brexit and the migrant crisis and also the fucking, obviously the bailouts, but the now with the pandemic, it's like, what do you actually do? Do you know what I mean? It's this feeling of like, you just feel like they're an incredibly bureaucratic organization that only takes care of about 3 or 4 countries in the center, you know, and then everybody else is like either a piggy bank or left to pot when it means, so like they were trying to be like the good boys of Europe for so long. It's like, yeah, do you want all that money? We'll pay way more than we should be expected to pay for this.
Who were they trying to be the good boys of Europe?
Fine Gael governments, successive Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil governments, and with austerity measures, shit like this.
These were they're all trying to suck off the EU. Yeah, they just really want to be like the model students.
Yeah, and that's why it was so cringy when everybody was talking about acting like, oh, Simon Coveney or Phil Hogan are bruiser in Europe and all this. It's like that we're all like, hey, it's us and Michel Barnier going into that room and the punches are flying. It's like, no, you're not. You're a fucking worm. You are nobody gives a shit about you. Nobody gives a fuck about Ireland. And no better example than what they just did there with Article 16 is like, we can cut off like a life-saving vaccine to you just like that. And we don't even need to consult you. We don't even need to like, and it was kind of like, I don't know whether it was a fuck up, a flex, or some sort of like, response to something that they saw where it's like, oh, you're taking the piss. But either way, it was a kind of, it was just a showing, a teaser of things to come, and just this feeling of like, man, this fucking organization sucks.
My understanding of it was that, I can never remember your one's name. The one in the
Ursula von der Leyen, I think.
I think she just panicked. Like, she was worried that these vaccines are going to come in. And, like, one of the benefits of being in the EU is that it's, like, a buying block. It prevents It prevents a bidding war for vaccines.
Yeah.
So she just immediately tried to invoke Article 16. But she did it in a panic.
Well, do you think as well that it's to make sure that Britain, which apparently Britain are doing pretty well with vaccinating, along with like Israel and a bunch of other places. Like, they're all like shitty people, but like the idea is that if the EU doesn't carry out this program in a way that people can say, oh, actually they did a good job, then it means that like it's going to create even more disillusionment with this institution.
But the EU, it really it seems like they've sort of fucked it up on the vaccines. Because, like, if you look at the numbers, I was reading about this. So, like, Israel have obviously vaccinated, like, 60 to 70% of, like, white Israelis.
And deliberately trying to genocide Palestinians with this, you know.
But they've always been doing that.
I know, but, like, this is, like, unbelievable.
Yeah,
go on
well,
anyway.
it's not because they, like, it's actually surprisingly subtle considering they just bomb the guts out of the Palestinians on the regular.
Or just bulldoze apartments willy-nilly, you know.
And then, let me think.
Yeah, so Israel,
Britain, ahead of us. I don't know about America. But the EU have only vaccinated like 1%. And they say the reason, probably more now, is like with the EU we've got the worst of both worlds, where it's like we wanted to make sure the vaccine was safe. Mm-hmm. It's like, remember that Britain was just like, stick it in us, whatever. Yeah.
What is it?
And
is it in this? Can I drink it? No, it's like, no, I'll have it now. It's like, well, we're not entirely sure. Wait, what are you doing? He's already injecting it into his fucking...
exactly. And then the EU were like, we'll wait to see if it's safe. And then they waited a very long time, so we fell behind everybody else. And then then there's also calls to speed the whole thing up. Yeah. The whole, for other vaccines, people don't want to spend as long investigating whether they're safe or not.
Yeah.
So you sort of get the worst thing where it's like, we got them late, and then we're also not going to really thoroughly investigate whether half of them are safe.
But there's also, like, the other thing that was interesting, do you remember you talked about it, like, that the, like, months and months ago when the Russians found, like, a vaccine and there was like, it's like 99.7% effect, something like that, something stupid. It wasn't 99 obviously, but everyone's like, that's too high, let's wait for a real thing. And then the real one came along, and it turns out like, that's similar, up there in the 90s. And then now it's revealed like, that Russian one was like probably legit as well, like the whole time.
I know.
And it's like,
Israel,
much bullshit,
Israel, I think they went with Pfizer mostly, but they were using the Russian one, and it's like, they're not making any mistakes.
Yeah.
Israel. One thing that I'm worried about is like, obviously as a rich continent, like Europe are getting the good stuff. You know? Like AstraZeneca and the other one. Pfizer. Like, if you go to Africa, they're going to be getting the shit stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're going to get this situation where it's like EU already hate migrants. Like, they pay Turkey to keep the migrants locked up. They shoot them in the water. They let them drown.
Yeah,
like,
they throw chains around. Yeah, exactly.
They're highly aware that, like, in Libya, all these people are slaves, and they're trying to escape. And then, like, they vote down extending rescue operations because they're like, no, we don't want to encourage the slave owners to get more slaves. It's like, so you admit there's slaves.
Yeah.
Like that thing from New Girl,
Yeah.
Or not New Girl, Mean Girl.
What was that?
Is that a thing? I've only seen the meme.
What was it?
The girl is like, so you admit there's something.
No, I can't remember.
Anyway.
Whatever.
But you're going to get this thing
now.
Yeah. It's very deeply funny.
But you're going to get this thing now? Sorry.
What?
You're going to get this thing now? Sorry, what were you saying? I was just interested in the point, and I cut across.
The point is that Mean Girls, it was Tina Fey's. No, my point is that, the EU is just going to be like, no, you're not allowed in here. First of all, you're brown. Mm-hmm. But second of all, you have a disease that we've cured within the EU. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just going to be like on Ellis Island, and they turn people back. They're just going to be like, no, you're not allowed in here. You have COVID.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
Well, maybe if you gave us, the vaccine, we wouldn't have COVID. It's like, also no. Also, we won't do that.
That's so, like, we're living in fucking grim ass times. Shit that is like I know it was always kind of like low key bad, but this is like just obscene. This is like when you go back and you read about like, workers in like fucking, like factories where they just get pulled in and turned into yarn, and it's like, anyway, nobody's allowed to go home. Trauma doesn't exist. Let's keep going. How old are you? 3? Well, your arm can fit in this. You know, it's like this type of thing where it's like, wow, what a disgusting past that we left behind, and now it's like we're just slowly. It's like there's like these, you know, big elites and capitalists who are just like, they had some ideas though. Let's do it, but like instead of like physical harm, it'll just be like human misery and degradation. You know, this feeling.
But that's it. It's like what they used to do at a national scale, they now do on a global scale. So it's like you go around Ireland and you obviously see some inequality, but you're like, yeah, things are improving. And then you look outside of the EU and it's like, oh no, it really isn't. These people are you know.
There's one thing I wanted, because we come up on an hour and it was a nice tidy little place to end it, so I might try and wind down, but there's one thing I wanted to do really quickly at the end, because it was related to what we were saying, where it's like, you know, they're doing their best, you know, or oh no, not they're doing their best, you know, with the government, what I meant to say, the part where it's like, he's our bruiser in Europe, we're going to head over, we're going to do this type of thing. The people who are currently talking about, no, Micheál Martin has to go to the US to preserve this beautiful friendship that we have with the US.
I don't understand, like, the discussion around this. It's like, who cares if he goes? Like, what does it matter?
Yeah, because I don't think, like, the part where they say, like, oh, it's going to undermine public health messaging for him to go over. Don't know if I necessarily buy that.
Yeah, like,
but the part where he goes over it all, it's like, I don't know. I find it so pathetic. Like, it's more the people who are going like fucking Gavin Riley, who is like, I actually like Gavin Riley, and then Gavin Riley is kind of like, oh, I suppose you're going to expect him not to go to the European Council meeting then either. It's like, why do you care? Why do you care about this pathetic, awful trip that he goes on? Like, it's so weaselly and, like, you know, cowardly, and just, do you remember like Leo going and saying like, I remember when I got Trump, I managed to get him planning permission for a hotel when he rang me, and it's so great to be here, and it's like sitting at breakfast excited while Mike Pence is just like eyeing, just fucking giving you daggers. Do you know, it's like, it's like, stop being such a little like fucking worm, you disgusting hogs. It's like, it's so pathetic to be like, no, we have to fly over to preserve this special relationship. Zoom it. Who gives a shit?
But it obviously works. You know
no,
what I mean?
It doesn't. Why does it work? How? Like,
because like,
it never doesn't seem to be any time to our benefit, you know?
Well, like, think about it when Biden got elected and he was like, he was like immediately on Brexit, and he was like, yeah, I'm an Ireland side and all of this. You know what I mean? Like, that was the result of like Ireland American relations. Like, it does pay off in certain ways.
I mean, what does it do then when it's like Article 16 and like rubber hits the road and this type of shit? It's like, does it actually mean anything? It just is like a kind of that, feather in your cap when you go to the EU or, you know, the UK.
Yeah, it means that, like, you know, America's probably more likely to put pressure on England to not fuck over, you know.
I just don't buy it. It just doesn't. It seems like, oh, that's cute. You know what I mean? Like patting you on the head. Like, yeah, Patrick, St. Patrick, that's cute. Yeah. Now we get back to the real shit, you know? I
mean, it's not going to mean this is like number one priority.
No,
you know?
but like
it does mean that like he's more likely to side with Ireland than with England.
I don't know. I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. Like, I just think it's, you know, like what happens. It's such a fickle relationship. It's really dependent on who's actually there, and I don't buy it. I don't know. It just doesn't. It never sat right with me. You know, like them going over and visiting Bush or them going over visiting Trump. It's like, it's just such a shitty thing, and it like, yeah. That's my take on it. That's what I'm sticking to.
It's shitty.
It's shitty. It's dumb, and anybody who cares is a fucking dumbass. And it's just lame. Just really lame. I'll be honest.
Like, it is always sort of cringe watching them do it.
Yeah.
But like. You know, I think it's always one of the things like better to do it than not to do it. And like,
but but again, just zoom. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, like it does make a difference whether you go in person or online. You know, and like he's not gonna get COVID going over, and if he does, he'll die. You know, and that's fine as well. But
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe it's just a dumb talking point. I guess I just wanted to bring it up in the broader context of our like simpering relationship to global powers, just kind of constantly bending the fucking knee. Like even to the Brits, like years and years ago, when it's like, and they're still landing in Shannon, do you know, like to the Brits. That wasn't the Brits. What am I talking about? But you know what I mean? Like there is that we're complicit in a war that was the responsibility of the US and the UK, and
That's it, we suck off the Americans as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But there was no condemnation. There was nothing, and I don't know.
Well, that's it. Like they don't even properly condemn the church. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're completely cowardly, and
yeah.
I'm sure Micheál Martin also just wants a holiday. Do you know what I mean?
Oh no,
If
and
you're-
Micheál
like-
Martin is like, this isn't going to last forever. Also, I might have some sort of disease that I haven't revealed to the public, and I have
What
2
was
years.
that?
No, just how like unbelievably sick he looks all the time. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
there is something. Maybe you've got some sort of cancer that's eating away at you, and now it's like, hey, I got 2 years left on the clock. I am going to see Biden, and I am shaking his fucking hand.
Yeah,
you know?
like he really is like, okay, I'm gonna be like, it's all sort of like ticking off the boxes. It's like, yeah, okay, I'm being a full leader, so I gotta be Taoiseach,
yeah.
and I gotta be in government, and I gotta go to America, I gotta do all these things, and he's just like not enjoying any of it. It's all incredibly rushed. There's no fun in any of it.
And
Which
there's
is
like remember one of the first things that he announced when he was made the Taoiseach, and then he was like, first thing he was announcing was the idea that they would create a high speed rail between or like at least a train network between Dublin, Belfast, and like Donegal or something weird, you know. And everybody was like, well, there's a pandemic, like shut the fuck up, we have bigger fish to fry. And like it was like, you go back and you look at his record of like setting up the HSE, introducing like a smoking ban, introducing a tax on
Set up the
plastic bags.
HSE.
Yeah,
He set up the HSE.
yeah,
Micheál Martin.
yeah. Or he was like one of the main ministers involved. I believe he was a minister for health at the time. But
He's such a ghoul. Like
yeah,
all through being head of Fianna Fáil, he was meeting with like groups of being like sexually assaulted by the church. And he's like, yeah, I'm on your side. And he becomes Taoiseach, and they're like, where are you?
Yeah.
You know, he's like, do I know you? And then he's like, makes that freakish apology.
yeah,
He's like, yeah, it's crazy how like everyone was to blame for the mother and baby home.
yeah,
It's like, it's crazy how like
yeah.
not anyone's fault. It's
Yeah.
also everyone's fault. Like that's mad. And then like, he's just a ghoul, a complete ghoul.
Well, we've also
And he's just gonna
we've
go over there and suck off Biden.
no, but like I think he's in much same way to Biden. He's a specter of the former party that used to exist. He just feels like a Fianna Fáiler, like to his core, and so he does stuff like that, like, you know, trying to be kind of folksy essentially, and to have those
suck
type
it
of
off everybody.
but like it's one of those things where it's like it just really doesn't gel with the current moment, and it looks so wrong, but he only knows one way to act, and so he's like, I don't have much time, and so I'm just going to do this, and so
he reminds me of like a divorced dad trying to date, you know, and he's like, this is what I used to do, and he's like putting on the flares, like, do my moves not work anymore, you know?
Yeah, but he's like, I'm going to ignore all of these pressing concerns. Oh, you know, the old-fashioned thing, ignore all the stuff with the church, it doesn't wash. Okay, going to keep plowing through with this. I just got to get to the end of these things, and I'm, you know, going to, you know, I'm just thinking of, for some reason I keep thinking of that bit with Mark Corrigan in Peep Show, where like he comes back to the house and I don't know, I can't remember, but some woman has stood him up, and then he like meets her, and she kind of feels compelled to go on a date with him anyway, do you know? And he's kind of like, in his head, he's thinking like, God, is she just pitying me? And then he just kind of goes, no, I'm going to get my pound of date. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's like, I'm doing this. Like, and it's like, but at the back of your head, you just know, this is really pathetic. No, it's not. I'm doing this. You know?
The train thing was a good idea, you know? I feel like we all thought the pandemic was going to end in 2 weeks. So I think people are like, no, just hold off. But like, if train would be cool, do Donegal.
Oh, I think that train, like, I don't hate the plastic
Get
bag
the
tax,
train.
the smoking ban, or the train idea. It's but it's all just like nibbling around the edges of massive kind of huge problems, and that they have no intention of solving because it's like that's how they profit. That's how they win, and
Yeah. That's how you win.
Yeah.
Trains,
well, just like non-committal bullshit policies that are like, will make people's lives like a little bit better, but ultimately not improve any material conditions for them,
Now, the train thing would rule.
Yeah, I've said that. I think it would.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's like, fixing the health service or, coming up with, welfare schemes that, or, things that would elevate people and help them get out of the situation that they're in. All it does is allow people to commute from further away.
It would help them get out of Donegal.
Yeah. Oh God. Well, people in Donegal for sure. You'd have that locked
They all
up.
need to get out of it more.
Well, Donegal is like just completely neglected constantly.
Yeah, it's probably the second worst county in Ireland.
What's the first?
Yes,
He's like, it got me there. I guess it's the first.
it's the first.
No, what was it? What is the first? Also, I don't agree with either, but I would love to know what your first worst county
Probably
is.
Fermanagh.
Uh,
Come on, give me that.
I mean, there's so many counties that just mean nothing to me, like Louth, that means nothing to me, and Laois, that also means nothing to me.
I thought they were the same county.
They often in my head they're like, it's like, oh, there's like, isn't Louth just like South Laois or North or whatever it is? Because
Yeah,
I don't even
exactly.
know its location. I don't respect it enough to think about it.
So I guess we better thank our patrons.
Yeah, go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers for more. What sort of stuff can they see on the Patreon or hear on the Patreon, James?
Porn. Just
So go to the
Pornography.
patreon.com/Celtic Ligers for porn. Now, to thank our patrons,
yeah. Gotta
let me just get our patron relationship manager up. What's the theme? One that we haven't used. And let's do this fucking quick, man. Let's go this fucking...
No, don't. You always try to rush it. Let's just take our time.
Yeah. I was asking, again, another person. I was asking Ronan.
Well, the only person you need to ask is me, because
Well, Ronan says people can just skip it if they don't like it, and I have to keep
Ronan
being
can mind
told
his
that.
Ronan can mind his own business. You know?
It's like, yeah, you're like, actually, no, I hate this. Now that Ronan
Yeah.
says that it's good, I hate this.
Yeah. People can't skip it for some reason.
Yeah, we've prevented that.
Okay.
So, what's the theme?
It's holidays.
Okay. Mark Maloney. That'll be...
Shark.
No?
Uh,
Shark Week
why?
Maloney.
Yeah.
That's a holiday.
Holiday in my book.
Yeah, I take Shark Week off.
Yeah.
Blind de Burka. That'll be planning the party. The party.
What about sunshine no worker?
Oh
Sunny.
man, that's good. Jesus, that's the best one we've ever done. What did you say that again? Sorry.
Sunshine no worker.
Oh man, Blind. I hope you like that one. That one's on the fucking board. Like with this, they have on Top Gear. They like write the people up, and it's like, wow, Michael Gambon's up at the top for like. That'll be like up there. It's like, I don't know if we're ever gonna beat that one. Alan Carroll. So obviously Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Okay, Rob Gale. That would be God damn it.
What about like no mail? Because it's like Christmas.
This is on fire this week. Stephen Bradley. That'll be seasons.
Badly.
Because some people don't like holidays,
Some people don't like change,
Some people don't like Shark Week, to bring it back to our opener there.
Yeah.
And Blind doesn't get a call back, because obviously you've had your
Right.
fill,
Yeah.
Alison Spittle, that'll be
What about Galson's triple? Like,
yeah, because there's triple the galas on this time of year.
yeah. It
Yeah?
was more supposed to be like Gal's trip,
Yeah, it's like Galentine's.
Valentine's Day, yeah.
Galentine's triple. No, Gallison's whatever. Richard Zimmerman. That'll be, of course, will of course be
Something Winterman, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
Win.
Indigo Child Winterman.
What?
Something to do with Indigo Child, Indigo Children.
Where are you getting that from?
I don't know. I heard Indigo Child during the week.
I thought
It's
that
a
was
new
like
age concept. Children who are believed to possess special, unusual, and sometimes supernatural traits or abilities.
What does that have to do with Richard?
What did we say? Wintermen. It's because they have like powers in the winter season.
Okay, so I guess Richard is Indigo Child Winterman.
I'm very sorry.
We will not be doing a callback to that one.
Yeah, you got your fill. Bridget Purcell. Oh, it's coming to me. It's something to do with
Yeah.
parcel, and it'll be like frigid parcel that
Yeah,
you
'cause
you
it's
get
so
at
cold.
Christmas because you get it so cold. You know,
It
like the
is, like-
chops you get for Christmas when they give you like a bunch of steaks.
Well, let me tell you, I ordered these books from Britain,
Mhm.
and after a month I got them, and the box is soaked through.
And they were
I know.
so cold.
You're thinking, wow, the box was soaked through. Were you on a date?
I don't like that at all. I don't think we should be. I think that's getting cut.
No, don't cut it. Just
Just
let's
let
leave
it
this.
let it linger. That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
I'll just say quiet for a bit and
Because
just be like,
I didn't like it either. I was just trying something new.
it's like okay.
Yeah, it was too sexual.
It was far too sexual for our Volcel podcast.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah.
I was just trying something.
Listeners, write in to celticligers@gmail.com and tell
Yeah,
us
if
what
you
you
want
thought
more
about
of
that bit.
Yeah.
And go onto our Patreon for porn. Okay. So God, Milky Fox, that'll be now you've ruined the word box for me, so we can't do that.
Yeah, what a wet box. What about
Milky Fox. Okay.
I'm thinking like, is there you get taxed on a particular holiday or anything?
What about eggnoggy? Eggnoggy. Because it's like
Eggnoggy.
milk, but it's not. Obviously, it's seasonal, so it's eggnoggy box. Oh.
What about milk and locks? You know, like traditional.
When you lock your milk up, and the cat's trying to get at it, but he can't because it's Easter.
Yeah.
You know. All right, next one is Kyle O'Neill. And we can't do Neil and Pray because we've done that a million times.
Oh, that's so good though.
I know, it's one of my favourites, yeah.
On Easter, you know?
Just next to your milk that's locked up.
Yeah, the cat is also
The cat's just freaking out. It cannot get in. Doesn't
Yeah.
understand why you would do this.
Yeah, on this
It's
on
like
Easter of all days.
Every human being though is like, I know why they did it because it's a perfectly normal holiday that everybody.
Yeah, that's it.
everybody
The cat
engages
even
in.
can't predict when it's going to happen because Easter keeps moving around. you know?
Obviously, yes.
What about who are we doing?
Kyle O'Neill, and that'll be
Kylo Ren, Star Wars Day.
yeah,
you know?
Kylo Ren. Yes,
Stuff.
may the Force be with you. May the Fourth be with you.
Yeah,
So that'll be, you're welcome there. Connor Barry, that'll be when you Connor marry your cousin. Okay, you know those days
yeah,
during Easter when you marry. A lot of stuff
Yeah.
goes on during Easter.
yeah.
for some
Easter's
reason.
a busy time of year.
Yeah,
and the
marrying
rest of
your
the year is
cousins.
perfectly quiet. Here's a question: would you marry your cousin?
No, what the?
Really?
Oh, I thought you were a bit more open-minded, but whatever. I guess
Yeah,
you know.
whatever.
Bit sus.
Yeah,
Imagine you just try to think you can like nag me into admitting that I'd marry my cousin. It's like, oh, I would do it. I'm totally gonna marry my cousin. You tell me you wouldn't, And then eventually you convinced me that. Anyway,
Yeah.
whatever.
And then I'm like, we're cousins. Newsflash, I got the DNA test. We're cousins.
Turns out I'm 100% your cousin. That bitch,
Yeah.
your cousin.
When I was in primary school, we convinced a guy, we were like, have you had your period yet? And then he was like, what? And we were like, we've all had ours, have you had yours? And he said yes. And we were like, even though we had spent the past like 5 minutes telling him that we had had ours, for some reason.
Well, he lied to be cool, so that's actually sad. But,
Yeah.
you know, so that's why you can make fun of him.
Yeah, I guess that is the difference. Next name.
That is so fucking mean, but very funny, obviously.
Yeah.
Liam McCartan. You know when you have your like Liam McTartan at Easter?
What about cream carton?
Cream
yeah,
carton. Yeah.
Yeah. For your plum pudding.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Nothing else. We won't touch that. Go any further with that. Claire O'Newlawn. That'll be
Wearing, you know. Okay, wearing. There are loads of traditional outfits.
choose one.
must-
Any
there
of
must-
them.
There must be something that rhymes with O'Newlawn.
I mean, wearing. Oh,
Yeah.
noose. Oh, wearing a noose. Like on New Year's, when you wear a noose.
To signify.
The death of the old year and the start
Yeah.
of the noose one.
Yeah, you wear a noose around your neck and you wear a nappy. To be like,
Yeah.
one dies and another is born. What
Yeah.
about, okay. Claire O'Newlawn. Well, the next one.
Niall McGillicuddy. That'll be Ryan Shack.
What?
Miller's Tool. I just literally any rhyme that I can think of. It's not really working, I don't think. I've got one.
Go on.
Niall spill the blood of an innocent. Okay.
What is? Yeah, okay. What holiday is that?
That's when that's like kind of the ancient traditions of Christmas when you would make a sacrifice, a ritual sacrifice.
Take your word for it.
Ronan,
I'll make spill the blood of the innocent. Okay.
Ronan Carey, Ronan Scary. A very
Right.
scary time of year is
Yeah.
Halloween, probably.
Hello Scream.
Hallow Scream. So Ronan, Hallow Scream. Thank
Yeah.
you for your thing. Very scary. Thank you for your money. Niamh Kelly. That'll of course be Wreath.
Yes.
Shelly, the shell of wreaths. You know the wreath shells that you do? The ones that are just made of shells?
Yes, I do actually.
Okay, yeah. We're for a sea time Christmas, which is not actually a regular time of Christmas.
No, that's at Easter.
Yeah.
Next one.
Paulie Doyle. Deck the Halsey with soil. When you throw the soil around your hallway and you deck it. And then you deck a guy.
You deck the guy. What about tree and soil?
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's two.
Yeah.
Now the big one, the big man, the man of the hour, Joe Joyce. What we say for Joe Joyce? That'll be rejoice. He has risen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course he rises at Christmas time. Okay.
Christmas.
So
Yeah. The happiest time of year.
when Jesus Christ is back, when he returns, you know.
Joe, I have a question to ask you. I have a book in this house, and it's written by someone called Joe Joyce. And I can't remember what the book is. Oh yeah, it's about what's his name? One of the two books you read, Gareth.
Charlie Haughey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about Charlie Haughey.
You shouldn't have said that.
It's about Charlie Haughey. Is that anything to do with you? I'm not saying if you read it.
Letters on a
I'm just saying.
postcard. DM
Letters on a
us.
Yeah.
DM us a postcard. Well, I guess that's that. I had some other